Hi, I'm Miranda Callender, the Director of Training at the River Division. I'm here with CEO John Eckstein and President Damon Judd of Marquette. We will be having a discussion on the importance of safety excellence. John, can you tell us your history leading Marquette and what changed the most as it relates to safety?
The evolution of Marquette since I took over in 1991 of a company operating about 5 towboats to a company that's operating over 130 today has been a phenomenal transition. And during that time period, not only has Marquette changed in their view of safety and management systems, but the entire industry has evolved as well. You know, today we operate out of 3 distinct divisions. You know, my original division was River, but now we've got Gulf and Offshore. And all of those offer different challenges to safety. And as we move forward, you know, that has to be our #1 priority.
John, what have been the critical factors to Marquette's success over the last 30+ years?
The primary reason for Marquette's success is we've always felt like we wanted to focus on being the best. We focused on being a boat operator first, which is a mariner-focused model. And by having the top mariners and the top equipment, we felt like we could perform above industry standards and thus be successful in all markets. You know, we are the largest boat-focused model on the river, and with that becomes basically our boats are our profit center. And so the performance of the boats is what's going to define the performance of the company. And without quality mariners from the wheelhouse to the deck, we cannot execute our plan.
Hey John, can you sum up the mission of Marquette Transportation?
Our mission is simple. It's to be the best. And in order to be the best, we've got to have the best crews, equipment, and an unrivaled logistics system. This is what our customers want, and this is what they demand.
And in today's market and with where we're going as a company, we can't be the best without being the best at safety. Safety excellence has got to be the foundation of our operational excellence as a company.
So John, if safety excellence is the foundation of operational excellence, what does this mean to Marquette?
Well, we get paid by the mile, so we have to make miles. We've got to make miles while we're transiting on the river. We've got to make good time in the fleets. We've got to work hard in order to do that. But no mile is good unless it's safe. So safe miles are always my goal.
We look constantly across the fleet and try to focus in on, which are our best boats and how do we replicate their success. And our best boats consistently are the safest boats, the most productive boats, the boats with the least turnover, and the boats that are managing within their budgets. Those ultimately are the boats that are managing their business as a business and taking ownership and accountability for what they do day to day out there on the river system.
So John, where do you believe Marquette has had the most success in safety, and what have been our key factors?
We've always been a safety-focused company. I mean, my most important, when I wake up in the morning, crew safety is the first thing I think about, and crew safety is the last thing I think about when I go to bed at night. But our numbers weren't showing it, and we had a lot of injuries, not a lot of serious injuries, but a lot of injuries. And our injury rates were high, and we focused hard on coming up with new programs, and like GAR. I mean, the first time somebody talked to me about GAR, I was very skeptical. We use so many acronyms in this business, I like to give guys a hard time, but green, amber, red, and we're gonna sit and talk about this before we go out on the tow and talk about what dangers might be out there. I really thought it was something that wouldn't work, but it brought up a level of awareness and the correlation between the start of GAR and now moving into the SAFE program, and the correlation in injuries is dramatic. I mean, the injury rate has dropped and significantly. I don't think we're there yet, but we're getting close.
The numbers are very compelling, as John said. When you look at the ratios, we're down 65% in terms of injury rate in 2018 compared to 2015. But it's easy to just talk about ratios without really connecting that in terms of what that means in people.
We talk about GAR and SAFE. Everybody knows green, amber, red. So Damon, do you even know what SAFE, the acronym for SAFE is?
I do.
Why don't you
Chris
tell
made it simple enough even for me. See and say all hazards. Ask, am I prepared? What am I missing? Follow the rules and know your energy sources.
Energy sources, what do you mean by that?
Don't pull outboard if you're pulling on a ratchet. Know where you are relative to the line of fire. This is what I've done. Don't close your hand over a ratchet if you're pushing towards the deck.
Sounds simple to somebody that does it every day, like most of the crew members that are watching this, but bring your level of awareness up and it will increase your safety, period.
But what's most significant, I think, to John and me is what that means in terms of actual people. If we had been operating at the same level we were operating in 2015, 35 additional Marquette employees would have been hurt. We are avoiding risk. We are managing the operations in a way that we're driving safety excellence in terms of personal injuries out there on the equipment.
What would you say are the areas we need to improve the most?
I think one of the single most important tools, and one that we put a lot of emphasis behind, is stop work responsibility. We want every single Marquette employee, if it's a greenhouse deckhand out there, we want them to be both accountable and feel empowered to speak up on behalf of things that they see that are concerned to them or concerned to their crewmate about a safety situation. I can't tell you the number of investigations we go through where something looked out of whack to someone, and if someone just has the courage to speak up, stop the evolution we're in the middle of, reassess risk as a team, that's what it's going to take for us to reach the next level in terms of our safety performance.
While we've had a lot of success recently in injuries, the same can't be said for incidents. We still are having about the same level of incidents. We'll have a year where it's pretty good, and then we'll have a stretch of period where it's not. So we're not consistently improving our incidents. So we really need to transfer a lot of what we've learned on the deck with GAR and SAFE, building up awareness, and transfer that to the wheelhouse, to where as they begin their watch or begin a certain maneuver that might be a higher level of risk, if they're assessing that, they're discussing it, and they're thinking about it. Because it's all about awareness. And when we break down incidents with vessels, we find that a majority of them are because somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do.
And as you think about a lot of the elements within our safety management system, ultimately they're trying to drive us to make sure we have a plan when we start something. As John said, when we go through the incident investigations, it's clear, one of the clear gaps we're finding repeatedly is the lack of a plan. So as you think of a JSA or a JSB, as you think about tug assist planning, as you think about all the things that are required within our safety management system, it's all about trying to make sure we're getting together, developing a plan before we start something, especially if it's an evolution that we think has a higher level of risk associated with it.
So what are the things that you two are most focused on for 2019?
For me, it ultimately comes back to starting with the people. We need to make sure we continue to push ourselves, to have the best mariners out there to support them in what they're doing, and have the right shoreside team members supporting those efforts. From a safety culture standpoint, we've made a lot of progress. We've got additional challenges ahead of us, and I think what's most important is that we're all fully bought in, and that we're not just going through the motions of a safety management system, that we're really engaging with the system to help us to be better as a company, and that we're owning it, not just doing the paperwork. And we know that there's a lot of work coming for our crews, and ultimately our goal is we want wheelmen focused on the windshield, not on the computer. And all these regulations and all these processes are adding paperwork, so we are working shoreside on a lot of new tools. Our goal is to try to alleviate some of that. It is coming. It will be slower to come than we'd like, but it is coming, and we've been making significant investments in that this year.
Look, Miranda, the bottom line is we've got great people, great equipment, and great customer relationships. We have contracts with some of the largest grain companies in the world to move all of their product on the inland waterways. This opportunity in front of us is phenomenal. We just need to execute. At the end of the day, it's all about miles, but not just miles, safe miles. None of it matters if we can't keep our employees and our equipment and the environment safe. I appreciate more than anyone can understand the sacrifices that our crews make. I do believe that being a mariner from the deck to the wheelhouse is one of the most demanding occupations there is, but also one of the most rewarding. I hope after watching this video, you all are as excited as I am to be part of Marquette and where we're heading. We cannot get to where we want to go without being safe and making safe miles.
Thank you, John and Damon, for being here today and discussing safety excellence with us. My hope is that this inspires our mariners to embrace our new safety culture. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us today.